Okay, so the last time we finished off, we were talking about that certain tzaddikim, certain unique individuals, have kind of an added responsibility of taking one for the team, right? Not only taking one for the team, that was lower level, and a higher level where they kind of took upon themselves the entire midas hadin altogether, right? And so, really, the example we didn't mention a good example to it last time, but really the idea of Asara Haruge Malchus, the 10 those that were killed by Rome, right? That we read in Yom Kippur and on Tisha B'Av. That's really the kind of the prototype for the situation. Rabbi Akiva, right? That Rabbi Akiva screams out, right? The Malachim say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how is this possible, right? Rabbi Akiva dies with the words Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, right? Meaning he's unifying Hashem's name as if to say, like, this is part of the master plan of creation. It's not about me. It's not about my sins. It's not generational sins. It's about the whole idea, in the very fabric of creation, right? And Hashem says to the Malachim, "Be quiet. If not for this, I'm going to have to return the whole, the world upside down." Right, so that's this idea that it's not about any particular suffering, in particular sin, or it's not about the generation at hand. It's about kind of fixing the whole fabric of creation. So that's really the prototype of this idea. Okay, so now let's move on to the next step, and this I think this is what he means over here with this paragraph, which we kind of stop in the middle. Behine. Cole says, so we are in the middle of learning Hashgacha, how Hashem guides the world, right? We are in chapter 3, approaching the end, Ois Test, letter 9, right? V'hine kol zeh zacharnu ad ata, everything that we've mentioned until now, al tzad hamishpat, that we spoke about from the perspective of justice. That this is supposed to be, this works out according to the laws of justice, this works out. Mizbayer oid al tzad hamitzius. We can also understand it from the perspective of creation, meaning the plan of creation that Hashem created, k'fi amitas sdorov, in its true arrangement, that as we have mentioned above. What do we mean that we mentioned above? Let's see. That through sin, misrabeis hazuama, there increases the zuama, the kind of, I don't know how to translate zuama, pollution, corruption, right? Let's call pollution. And so when a person does sin, right, the zuama, this pollution is increased, and it becomes more essential, more internalized into the human being, and by default, it also becomes more integrated into the fabric of creation, right? And as a result, causes Hashem's light to be hidden, v'yisalem, halim al halim, and to be hidden and further hidden beyond hidden, right? However, in return, as if the zuama, this pollution, gets purged out, and the creations are purified from it, so Hashem's light returns back into the world, and is revealed further and more. Okay, however, what makes this happen? This cleansing of the zuama, the suffering, the suffering is what is the tool through which this zuama is purged, right? Like kashering of a kli, so to speak, right? So bein beprat, whether it's talking in individual level, bein beklal, or in a general level, and so as a result of the suffering of these very important individuals, the zuama is purged not only from them, they don't have it, but from through their suffering, the zuama is removed from the world, from the entire habriya kula, in the entire creation, and as a result, and so the whole world is brought closer to perfection. Okay, so they are kind of the, I don't know how to say it, but they are the symbolic, I don't know, scapegoats. I don't know how to use what's the right mashal for it. But through these tzaddikim, the world is purged from the Zuama. Again, it's a little hard to understand. Why is it hard to understand? Because if the suffering does purge the Zuama, we understand. Let's say we understand that, which is not in itself is not an easy concept to understand. Why is someone's suffering a way to cleanse him? If it's a punishment, okay, it's a punishment, I understand. Forget everybody else, let's say even him. Why is that the cleansing process? Okay, you punished me. Does that make me now a more... If the whole purpose of creation, the way he defined it, was that we're looking to create the community of the perfected ones. Okay, now this guy sinned. Okay, he did whatever he did, many different things. Okay, now you punished him for it. Okay, now he got sick, he was, I don't know, he had his leg amputated, I don't know. Now what? Now he's a more perfected human being as a result?
Well, then I probably hope is he's going to realize and do tshuva and change his ways.
So tshuva makes him perfected. So
he sort of could be...
Because there's no other way. Because if you're talking about community, we're talking about living people. Don't try to cleanse them. Again, it's not going to work too late. That's the only way is suffering in this world. Because if it's after he passes, it's not community anymore. It's outside.
Why? The community of the perfected ones is really after Tchiyas HaMeisim, after Olam Haba. Just afterwards is just your temporary kind of holdover until you get there. That's... But anyways, I think is what we were learning in Pirkei Avos with the board, yeah? Is that right? That the Rabbi Gamliel says, Yofa Talmud Torah Derech Shegias Shnei Meshkachas Ov, and there is this idea, and Rabbi Yonah quotes it in not quotes it, he brings it in not brings it, he says it in Sharei Tshuva that right. I mean, there is the problem with growth, right? Let's say we're doing mitzvahs. Unfortunately, we're even the things that we are doing, we're not doing really with our whole being. Even when we try to do it with our whole being, we're not doing it with our whole being. Because we don't fully understand the kind of the extent to which we are capable. Because we generally are, we've built in, and that's part of our nisayon, we take always the path of least resistance. That's what we take by nature, the path of least resistance. Whether you can try amelus b'torah and you can put an effort and this and that, and it's still not the same. The amount, what human beings are capable of under certain extreme circumstances, like we know that it's unheard of. That means the potential is there, right? The potential is there. It's just it's not utilized, and unfortunately, it usually takes a life lesson for a person to kind of dig deeper into his inner self, right? I mean, first world problems are not the same, as third world problems. It's just different. You see that it's a different experience. So sometimes, unfortunately, we have to get like a patch in order to dig deeper into ourselves. Ideally, it should come from this. Right. Talmud Torah should allow us to have all of the intellectual stimulation necessary for us to be able to kind of really reach into our potential. So that's in one sense, I think, right? But so that's in one sense. So I think that's part of it. Again, it's not everything, but it's part of it. We understand that when a person goes through trials and tribulations, and they're difficult, I mean, that really brings out all of the heroic aspects of a person's personality. If it doesn't break them, unfortunately, we also see that people are broken by their trials and tribulations, and that's not a good thing. But let's say, but we're talking about these individuals. They took this and they were able to maximize, and they were able to become perfected, and they did reach into every recess of their kind of humanity, and they brought out all of the heroism. Everything is already there. They did it already to the max. They pushed the pedal to the metal. Now what? Now you're going to lay it over them on top of it. To do what? How is their suffering going to purge the world of the Zuma? You missed the wrong address. You got to hit them over there. Let them appreciate, right?
Over there, meaning hit the sinners.
Right. If it works in cleansing it, then provides if it's type of a purgatory, so then hit the sinners, hit the people who need this process in order to get better. Over here, you're just hitting the guy who's already good, and you're letting these guys off the hook. Right?
Right.
Isn't that so? So how's this? Why is this system? He's saying this system works according to the proper arrangement. Why does this work? Why does it work? So I'm not sure. I don't have a clear answer, but I think it goes back somehow to this idea that we saw 2 times ago, and we saw a little bit from Mesilas Yesharim, that it's not possible for the nation to be on one level. So somehow these unique individuals are able to basically say, okay, you guys, Hashem will love you exactly the way you are, despite all of your deficiencies and despite all of your problems, despite all of your imperfections. By Him going through this, it's miniature suffering, meaning miniature in a sense, on the scale of suffering that really needs to be accomplished. So it's a kind of chesed that basically Hashem says, you know what, through Rabbi Akiva, you guys are going to be included into the, into this community. Rabbi Akiva is going to give you a free pass.
Let's just think out loud. The bigger the tzaddik, the greater the Yitzhak. Right? So even Rabbi Akiva, with his whole greatness, the ultimate peak, did have a Yitzhak. I'm
not sure if I hear that
right.
question. I'm not sure. This concept of the bigger the tzaddik, the bigger Yitzhak is a very difficult concept. What exactly does that mean? I'm not sure. What does that mean?
Is this still
Rabbi Akiva wants to be Michal Shabbos? I do not think that Rabbi Akiva has any Yitzhak to be Michal Shabbos. Right, so on his level, it's a bigger the urge.
Opening up a soda can.
I don't know. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
It could be there is a question there. I just don't know exactly, how to connect one concept that I don't know to explain, or to question another concept that I don't know. Okay, but so we'll leave it at that for now. But clearly, clearly that's part of the equation. The equation is that these individuals have the ability. However that works, somehow they become the heads of the community, and everybody who kind of passes in through their get out of jail free card. And that's again, like we emphasized last time, it's very important to be connected to somebody high on the higher ups in the future community of the perfected ones, so you could you could have a VIP pass as opposed to just they let you into under the bleachers pass. Okay, anyway, so next is a whole new thing. This is now we're getting to a whole new world of things, of ways of Hashem decided to let people in. Okay, let's see. Oid Shayrish Acher. This is a lot of people love this topic. Okay, Oid Shayrish Acher. There's another route, Nimtza, that is found la'anhoga b'nyonei ha'olam hazeh, as far as the providence, as far as the guidance of this world. Okay, pay attention. V'hu sha'chochma ha'elyoina sidra, and this is that the great wisdom, the lofty wisdom, arranged that there should be another way to increase the salvation that we mentioned. That's the idea. What's a different tool? What's a different method for increasing a person's ability to enter the community of the perfected ones? Sheneshama achas, that one soul, tavoy le'olam hazeh pa'amim shoynes, will come to this world a number of times, begufim shoynim, in a number of bodies, right? So this is the concept of reincarnation, right? So why does So meaning you ask yourself, why does reincarnation exist? Why should there be something called reincarnation? Just everybody comes in once and you go home and that's it. Why do we have a concept that people come back and forth and back and forth, right? So he's saying that the reason why that exists is in order for people to have more chances of perfecting themselves. Good. And through this, you can fix at this time what that soul was mechanical, was messed up in the previous time, or lahashlim or to complete what the soul did not complete, right? So two things, right? The positive and the negative. Either a soul can come in order to fix something that it messed up in the previous life, or something that it did not yet have a chance to do, now it's going to come and complete it. Okay? So that is, again, what is he saying that? He's saying, keep in mind, he started off that is b'hanhoga b'inyonei ha'olam hazeh. That is a hanhoga of this world. Right? And then he goes on telling us, the whole purpose is to get you into the next world. Right? What does he mean by that? Right? And so I think what he means by that is that things that may look out of place based on the logic of, let's say, mida keneged mida, whatever logics that we have in terms of the justice system that Hashem should have set up, we see something happening to Ruvain that shouldn't have happened according to our understanding of the world. We have to appreciate and understand, hold on, that you may not see the full picture. Ruvain here is for his third time, and and he's supposed to, he didn't accomplish this, and he's been correcting something that he did 3 times ago. So just because it doesn't seem to work out, your justice systems, what you call it, understand there's another hanhaga of olam hazeh that may depend on something at a different times, right? Vu'ulam. However, b'soif kol hagilgulim, at the end of all hagilgulim, all of incarnations, right? It's interesting that the word galgal, right? The gilgul galgal means a rotation, right? A rotation or orbit or right, a circle, right? So sometimes it goes to galgal just means bouncing around, like turning, right? That's how it feels like. B'soif kol hagilgulim, like at the end of all of this bouncing around from body to body, ladin shelo asid lovay, you're going to come to the judgment of the world, of the future judgment. Hine hadin yeh aleha kifi kol ma she'over aleha min hagilgulim. So then the soul will be judged according to the sum total of all of the gilgulim that it went through. She's galgala. And according to all of the situations, matzav that it wasn't in, meaning like now he's referencing back what he said in a different paragraph where he talked about that each one of us comes into their station in the world, right? Some stations are more privileged, some stations are less privileged, and everybody has their own station they're starting off with based on his parents, his grandparents, whatever his generation, etc., etc. So he says, so basically now I have to also calculate, this neshama in its 5 different reincarnations and its 5 different stations and etc. Okay. V'hinei efshar sheyagiu inyonim le'odam shenishmosem megulgeles So that's what he's saying, what it really says, that it's possible that a person whose neshama is reincarnated, something will happen to him that was really caused by something that this soul did from the previous Gilgul. And as a result of that, he will be given a certain state, a certain station, based on something that happened in his Gilgul in the previous life. Okay? And as a result of the station that will be given to him, that will be the masa, the burden, asher yutal that will be placed upon him, like we said above. Right? So meaning a person's station in this world may be a result not of something that he did in this world, but maybe a result of something that he did in the previous life. And you have to understand that Hashem's judgment is precise as precise can be on every single individual, and according to what he is in all of his aspects. Pirush b'chol pratim atzova, in every detail of his station. Be'oifen, in such a way, shelo yamas le'olam al odom. One second. Be'oifen shelo yamas le'olam al odom le'olam haboshu atoy v'amiti ashma she'ein lo be'emes. A person will not receive in the world to come any guilt that he does not deserve. Aval yegia lo min hamasa ve'apekuda ba'olam hazeh kefi ma shetiflag lo chachma elonik. So he's going to get in this world exactly what he needs. I'm not sure what he means over here. It sounds like he's repeating himself, but clearly he shouldn't be. So. I'm not sure. I don't know what he means. It's not clear to me. Okay, let's take it as a summation, a repetition. That again, when it comes to world to come, it's all based on your individual input. And so your output is based on your individual input, not on your station in this world. Your station in this world sets your burden and your pekuda and your mission, but at the end of the day, it's all somehow calibrated based on your individual performance under those circumstances, not on your performance because of those circumstances. That's what he seems to be saying, but again, I think there should be something more, but I don't see it right now. Okay. Of course, there are many different elements, many different details that come in this system of reincarnation. How will a person be judged according to his Gilgul? And also, how does that reflect on what he did in the previous Gilgul? Right? In such a way that, of course, there has to be some kind of a true and righteous judgment. Okay, and regarding all of this, it is said, Hatzur Tamim Pa'aloi. The creator, the rock, his action is perfect. He called Derech HaShem. All his ways are justice. Okay, it's not possible for creations to have full knowledge that they should be able to understand the entire calculus of this judgment. However, this general principle we know, like all of the other general principles, we just know this to be so that there is such an idea of reincarnation. We don't fully understand how it works, but we know that it exists. That's it. We just know that it all is there for perfecting the world and to make it more kind of just at the same time and kind at the same time. So, right, the idea is that there should be more kindness. In other words, more people should be able to be zoich, to be worthy, but at the same time, without losing the element of justice, that everything has to be in accordance to the reward that you receive. So that's a whole system of getting a person in justfully, and at the same time, with kindness, right? It's almost like SAT, you know how they have what is it called? It's called super scoring. Are you familiar with super scoring? I think it's called super scoring. Meaning, let's say you take the SAT 2 times. So one time you did really well on the English, but you bombed the math. Another time you did really well on the math, but you bombed the English. So some colleges will say, we'll super score. We'll take the highest score from the English section, the highest score from the math section. Okay, we got you in. So this is super scoring. Okay. All right. Anyways, let's continue. Okay, so what do we get from here? We got it from here that what we really I don't know, did we learn anything new here? Not much. We knew that there was a concept called reincarnation. We knew of its existence. We know that it's here for the purpose of fixing, and we also knew that. And we know that we don't really understand it. And we also knew that. Okay. Nimtza. Yudalef. Nimtza lefi kol ma shebiarnu. According to what all of that we have explained. Sibois shoynois, there are many causes, umischalfois, and interchangeable causes, limikri bnei hodam boilam hazeh, and regarding what happens to people in this world, imlutov imlemutav, whether for good or whether for not so good. Ve'amnam ein ha'inyan shekol mikra shikri yimoshech mikol hasibois ha'ela. It's not that right. It's important to realize that not everything comes from all of these causes. Just all of these are the range of possibilities that could happen. These are the possible causes. You could have certain things that come from one cause, and others come from a different cause. What does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? Obviously, right? Obviously, not everything comes from the same cause. Meaning, he's saying that sometimes you have to not only understand that there's a bunch of different causes. You got the Gilgul situation, you got your station situation, you got your school's office situation, you got your tzaddik connection situation, right? You got all of these reasons for why these things could happen. But one second, they could also be. You have to also understand that some of them don't necessarily follow each other, right? Meaning your Gilgul situation says you should be poor as dirt, but your tzaddik situation says that you got schus of your tzaddik protecting you, right? So you have sometimes you have these different causes that are not necessarily playing together. Okay, so but the great wisdom knows, it is all constantly constantly observing what is needed, what is beautiful, what is perfect for the rectification of the entire creation. So it is constantly weighing the pros and cons, all of these different elements together. And according to all of this, the entire calculus, all of these sibos together, then the hashgacha, the providence, guides the world in all of its details. Because it can't be that all of these different causes will have their effects equal at all times. Because it's possible for one cause to contradict another. Right? That's what we just said. So for example, and it's possible according to the merit of the forefathers, he should be destined for wealth. But according to his actions, he is supposed to get oini, he's supposed to get poverty. But according to the general, some general, division of, it could go either way. It could go to wealth or it could go to poverty. And according to actions that he did. He does one action, and that he's supposed to get a certain benefit as a result. But it's the same person does another action, that will result in the opposite effect. That the same good is supposed to be taken away from him, right? Again, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu is constantly weighing all of these causes and machras and tilts into the direction of the one that is most beneficial. And prepares for each individual person everything that from the type that he needs. Pirush inyonim nimshochis achas hasibas, according to one of these causes. V'inyonim nimshochin achar hasiba acheres, and other elements may come from a different cause. Amram lo yikra mikra odom shlo yiyah kefi achas min hasiba shezacharno. However, and this is the key element, that everything that, however, should be traced to at least one of the causes that we have mentioned in this whole chapter, meaning that the list is exhaustive according to him. So the list is exhaustive, meaning that the various things that he mentioned in this chapter that of Hashem's Hashgacha, it has to be one of these. You may not know which one, and you may know why, but it is one of these. However, the details, it's impossible for a person to know all of them. However, we know a lot. We do know a lot. When we at least know the general kind of heading, the general chapters, general statia, what is called statutes, and on which it could fall, then we still know a lot. We know there is a map, meaning it's saying like this. It's saying I think a very beautiful, powerful thing. Even though it seems like at each and every individual chapter he's telling you, we don't understand how this works, it's too complicated. But just believe Hashem will take care of it. He goes to the next chapter and he tells you, we also don't know how this works. Yigulim, it's too complicated for us. We don't know how it works. Then, whatever each one's, right? There's chus always, so it's too complicated. We don't know how that works. Everything seems to be too complicated and you don't know how it works, right? But at the same time, what he's doing with this last words, he's saying, not so fast, because he's saying we do know these general principles. So we know the source and the reason for each one of these. And we could, by certain kind of, again, I'm putting in words a little bit, and what I think he's saying, by certain methods of, by certain methods of elimination, we could figure out why, under which general principle something falls into. And once we can figure out under which general principle it falls into, then there is something we can do about it. And so there is a lot of knowledge, meaning it's a lot like in mathematics. It seems like, I don't know, I'm just watching some videos on calculus. Like, calculus starts with an approximation. We don't know how to figure something out. There's a kind of concept called the limit, right? Right? When it approaches as it approaches infinity, whatever it is, we could figure it out. So when it approaches, meaning, so through kind of initial approximation, we can kind of dig into the precise measure of something. So over here also, he's saying an amazing thing. He's saying, if you understand this list of different causes for Hashem's guidance in this world, you may not always understand every situation, but you will have enough information, now maybe not all the time, but you'll have enough information in many circumstances to be able to figure out why something is happening to a certain individual or to a certain person or to a certain community or to a certain place. And then you may be able to figure out what to do about it, how to fix it, how to, and etc. So it is so what he's saying is a very powerful, very powerful tool. Okay? That's a cool time. Okay, I think we should spend 2 more minutes to just finish the whole chapter already. Okay, so paragraph 12, the last paragraph. Okay, so you should also know that amongst the things that happen to a person, could also be divided into two types. v'asheni emtsoyim. That there are types of that are called they're final, and there are some are called, let's call them intermediate. Okay. So we have the final or the absolute things and the intermediate things. Pirush tachlisim. What do we mean by absolute or final things? Mikrim sheyunik zorim al ha'odam liyosim ru'uyim loy mitzad achas ma'asiba shezacharnu l'mayla. That things that were decreed upon a person based on the calculus from the various causes that we've mentioned in this chapter. So what is v'emtzoyim? What does intermediate means? Mikrim sheyikru loy k'dei she'al yodam yagia loy mikra achar sheroy loy. That it's just, it in itself is not, so to speak, a form of justice. It is only a prerequisite, or it's only a precursor, a foreshadow, or a preparer for something that's going to come to him in the future. Okay, so now he's adding a new twist to this whole equation, right? To this whole equation, that there are certain things that he calls emtsoyim, that they're not as a result of these causes, but they are intermediate. They're preparing for what's to come. Good. And that is brought in this pasuk, Oidcha Hashem, I will thank you, Hashem, ki anafta bi, because you showed me anger. What? I will thank you, Hashem, because you showed me anger. Shepershu, that our sages explained, shenishbara regel parasoi v'nofla, that the situation is like that in a situation that his cow broke a leg and fell. Umotza sima tachteha, but as a result, he found the bird's treasure underneath. Right? So, oishi yimolit mimikra shroyish lo yagia loy. Or on the other hand, he will escape something from from something that's supposed to happen to him, but then something else happens that right, so meaning he got delayed and he missed his airplane flight, and he realized, right, like he says, got late, and he missed the boat trip that he was supposed to go on, but the boat sank in the ocean. Okay, so this he says that these are called mikriim. These are these are called emtsoyim. They are called intermediate causes, not final causes, but intermediate causes. Right. So I mean, how do we see that? What does he mean by that? What is he adding? I mean, what? Then let's think about this. Meaning. I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think what he's saying, meaning this guy's cow, right? So he lost $1,000. Okay, so his cow was cost him $1,000. He lost $1,000. Now, as a result of the loss of the $1,000, he found the treasure worth $1 million. Right? Mm-hmm. So the loss of $1,000, was that a punishment? Or it was just a technicality, meaning I needed a stratagem to make this happen. This is the way it's a hard point to understand.
No, that's technicality. Definitely.
What?
That's definitely technicality.
It's right, but so what? Couldn't Hashem? But did I deserve this loss? I mean, couldn't Hashem make me find this treasure without having my cow fall down in this place and die and lose me $1,000?
Look up to look more tzaras, was a breaking wall.
Right. Oh, that's exactly right. A perfect example of tzaras. The tzaras of the house. They break down the wall. They find the treasure inside the wall. Or is it the condition to be able to? It's like a condition that to be able to be worthy of this treasure, there has to be I needed like a little bit of a push. I needed something had to occur. Some negative things had to occur for me to be able to unlock that thing. Okay. That's what he's saying. That also these intermediate things it's possible that they will be they're necessary for the person in order that these things should happen to him. But they also could be for the benefit of another. That he becomes more like a conduit for somebody else's good or evil that's supposed to befall him. Right? Meaning, again, so two guys are riding, they bump into each other into a car accident. Right? So why did I bump? What's with the car accident? So I stopped him from going onto the boat that was going to sink. Okay, once again, it's the great wisdom, just like it measures out all of the things that are supposed to befall upon a person. So even the intermediate things are also calculated. Everything is decreed in immense level of precision. What is truly best in truth. Okay? Alright, so we need to do a summary. So we'll do a summary next time, but because there's a lot of different elements in this chapter. And then we need to also possibly connect it to the previous chapter.
Compare contrast.
What?
Compare contrast.
Right, because he told us that one is on a social level, one is on an individual level. Okay, the next chapter is going to be like a slightly different angle, which is, the place of Jews in this world and non-Jews in this world. So that's going to be an interesting also thing to see.